I'd like to introduce our speaker. Josephine Shepperd is the author of the self-development book, HSP, Empathic and Empowered, Expanding My Perspective, and an ordained non-denominational minister through the Universal Life Church, headquartered in Seattle, Washington. Her doctorate is in religious counseling. She is certified as a level 3 Reiki master teacher, natural health consultant, and trauma-informed coach. Josephine is the creator of the Body-Wise and Soul-Wise integrative methods to meditation, visualization, and somatic processing. She is a regular practitioner of introspective mindfulness, mind-body meditation, therapeutic journaling, and considers herself a continual student of life. She's had 3 near-death experiences, various spiritual transformative life experiences, and a clear memory of being non-physical consciousness prior to birth into this lifetime. Josephine has been known to be a strong humanitarian and advocate for the rights of others, fairness, attuning to nature, infinite intelligence, and the golden rule. The living of life has fueled her passion for reminding others that the power of the divine source energy, the light, is within. Her awareness of being conscious prior to birth is the driving force of being a willing vessel of Spirit's messages whenever it is called through her, and teaching others how to attune as well. Josephine's journey of channeling Spirit began at the age of 4, which brings her to where she is today, personally and professionally, and connecting with others of like mind through the religious practice of spiritualism. Let's get to know Josephine a little bit better. If you could please help me welcome her to the podium. Josephine Shepperd.
Thank you, Reverend Lisa, and I really appreciate the inspirational talk that you shared this morning from Elizabeth Gilbert. I enjoy her, and that was just perfect fitting.
Oh, good.
Richard, may I impose upon you the handout for the lyrics for I Am Light by India Airy? Would you mind sharing that with everyone? And I'm gonna kind of read through that with you. That's part of the inspiration for my talk this morning, discussing about the light within that we have. This particular song, I discovered a number of years ago when I was at another organization and someone had used it for their theme. And of course, it moved me deeply. And I wept, which is natural because it's just, enthusiasm, being moved by Spirit, whatever, the tears just come. So let it be what it is. So the song, of course, the main words are I am light. And cognitively, intellectually, we kind of get that, in our spiritual beliefs, or if we think about even our science today, talks about how, first of all, our vision, what is it about our vision that we're able to actually see one another with a sense of depth, the 3D ability, and everything in life does actually have illumination, light. Our eyes, our vision, actually utilizes that light in order to translate for the brain to identify the body, the humans, the plants, the 3D effect, So I find that intriguing. I happen to enjoy both the blend of spirituality and science together. And anything that helps me to grow and to be more curious and to explore is a beautiful thing for me. So I'm hoping that I can inspire a little bit of that for you, or maybe we just happen to connect and resonate on that realm. So if we look at these lyrics, I appreciate that This was sort of a testimony in her song. She tends to do that with a lot of her music. And as she states here in the first stanza, I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. And the next goes on to say, I'm not the mistakes that I have made or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dreams I left behind. She moves down after the next that says, I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. Or my soul inside is all light. And then you get to the closing. I'm gonna see, you can feel it already. I'm moved. So we get down to the bottom and she recognizes, acknowledges the divinity in herself. And this is very powerful because as her words say, I am divinity defined. I want to pause with that for a minute. I am divinity defined. When we think about the beginning of the physical life, there is a spark, a light. They call it the zinc spark or the zinc effect. When we become a form. And in science, the beautiful thing is that we have so many brilliant scientists that I absolutely adore and admire. And I won't go through all of their names and all that they talk about, but when they discuss how even in our sciences, now that we have this technology, we're learning how to use that technology to also discover what we call in science a unifying field. A unifying field isn't just out there somewhere. It is actually the energy that binds everything down to a cellular level. The light within. The light within. And the realization that this spark, the place where the particles that were, the space in between that goes beyond even the particles, which is the smallest element to my awareness. I'm going on layman's terms, what I can recall. There's an intelligence that we cannot yet define because it's what brings everything together. There's an intelligence in every cell and every atom that was brought in from this spark of life, AKA a unifying field that not only exists for all of our universes and all of our planets and our earth and our plants, but what's here. And not just this body that was pulled together as this wonderful, brilliant, conscious, intelligent organism that is completely aware of existence, but then our own consciousness, the soul essence, that element of our awareness that personifies and merges with the body, creating personality and a new life, is profound. I am divinity defined. Defined how? Defined through this personality that we've got to become in this vessel, in this body, in this being, to experience ourselves and create it as we go along through this personality that says, I like that not so much, oh, I like that. And then this energy that we are also sends that signal to the divinity within that expands to the unifying field, sending the message, this form, this personality is expressing a desire for this. Let us bring it in. Let us bring it in. I am light. I am the God on the inside, spark of life, being blessed with a memory of being aware of being non-physical consciousness prior to coming into form. Words are limiting, so I'm going to do the best that I can. But there is an understanding, and it's a what physically would say is a visceral understanding that we are in love with all of this creation. And that is why we as a collective consciousness, even the collective that goes beyond the collective that we can even tap into, because there are so many layers, have taken such pleasure in bringing all of this together. And yes, even down to the finite little particle that is a part of the vessel, the organism, the vehicle that we are. And I want us all to be able to just take some delight and pleasure in that, to bring it viscerally, not only from an external, from our imagination, which is a beautiful thing, because that is one of the tools, as Einstein said, that we have to utilize in order to bring life and breathe life and allow life to breathe through us. So I'm going to invite you, if you are willing, to place a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly. Notice that as you breathe, the breath that you do not have to think into being is expanding your lungs and raising your chest. Feel the sensation both with your hands and notice on the inside the expansion and contraction of your belly. Divinity within, breathing you. Why? Because you're wanted. Because you are so loved that you got to come here and play. The play that we take so seriously. And we shake our fingers at others and we shake our fingers at ourselves. But we get to pause and go, wait a minute. What's going on in here? What's going on in here? That heart under your hand that's beating, that you do not have to think into its every pulse, every pound, moving that oxygen, moving that love, moving the light. So now I invite you to rub your hands together. Many of you, I imagine, work with energy or are familiar with energy such as Reiki, and we talk about rubbing our hands together. Well, when we're cold, what do we want to do? We want to create friction, so we rub our hands together, right? And then if we want to intensify the energy, some of the native practices and some of our, even some of our medicine practitioners from our African cultures, take our hands with great intention. Imagine that your whole body is full of energy, and the energy of the divinity, as you define it, whatever name, is now bringing that light fully into your heart and into your hands, and then clap your hands together. Whoa. Rub. And now separate the hands gently, ever so gently, and notice the sensations that you're experiencing. The clapping of the hands is to activate. And it's not activating, we used to use the words activating the light, the energy source, power, healing energy, but we're not activating, it's alive. What we're doing is we're training our mind and body connection to allow the fluidity and to direct it as we have asked it to come through our physical and visceral action. Because it is the light that is natural and innate to us within. So we are a piece of it all. We are a part of that unifying field. And we can be both part of the unifying field from the broadest imagination that we can expand to, as well as recognizing the unifying fields of every organ and every element that works together in absolute cohesiveness in the physical body. And to add to that, we have what the Eastern medicine taught us about the energy centers. And generally, we only reference 7 or 8 energy centers. We also call them chakras, right? And there are actually nerve bundles, little tiny nerve bundles in each of those primary locations. And there's actually about 114 or 119 sub-chakras altogether. So they all, again, interrelate. Everything works together cooperatively. Everything works together cooperatively. So then we might wonder, well then, what about these challenges I have? What about these upsets? What about these health challenges? What about the trauma that is stored in the body that becomes patterns that dictates my choices and my behavior when I don't realize it? And that's the beautiful thing. Doesn't feel beautiful sometimes. I'll be first to tell you. About our humanity, about being in this vessel, this living, conscious organism, creating, co-creating as a spiritual source energy linked from the greater source of all that is, creating this personality in order to experience life and to become and to be. See, from the non-physical perspective, that's exciting. It invokes great love because we know that in this bouncing off energy field, this densha energy field, it causes us to inquire, to desire, yes, to invoke and create. And sometimes when we realize that we're creating our experience, we haven't quite got a handle on it, still working on it, me too. Then we go, okay. But even in that light, that infinite intelligence that we're all tapped into by whatever name that gives us comfort is always there, is always there. And sometimes I'm going to offer to you what I do for myself. If I forget for a minute, or if I get angry, and I think someone has BS'd me big time. Someone has got their cork screwed the wrong way. And it can't be me. No, 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 no. Then I stop. And I take that dual perspective, that part of me that observes and is aware of me being aware and observing. And I go, okay, you can get angry. We want you to be angry. We want you to feel. because those emotions are your guidance system that lets you know how aligned you are with your broader perspective and the reality that source is holding and this vortex of energy around you that says, I've already got your back. But if your back is to us, you're not going to see what we have for you. And it will always be incremental as long as we're in this physical form. It will always be incremental. And that's important. It will always be incremental. Now, sometimes those increments may be larger than others, and sometimes they'll be smaller. And we always get to choose that. And trust me, I've got some stuff y'all don't know me just yet. I might not tell you all my stories, but I got my own things that I'm working on too. But what is key to remember the light within, that I am light, is to also take that consciousness I have as being that gracious light and letting it encompass. And if I want to have a childish temper tantrum and throw myself on the floor when no one's looking, I'm going to be that spaciousness that says, you can do that. You can do that. I have the capacity to hold the unconditional love to allow you to do that. And why do we want to even encourage? Sometimes we might say, well, why would we encourage anyone to be angry? Do you know what people do out there out of anger? No, that's out of rage and disconnection. And we're not inviting you to stay in that energy. We're inviting you to notice that for a minute, when you felt lost, hopeless, without, disconnected, that anger just brought you back and you felt something. You felt some fire. You felt the light lighting you up and saying, I'm calling you through. Let's move through this energy together because I've got you. And how do you know I got you? I'm beating your heart. I'm beating your heart. I am breathing you. Breathe with us. And I invite you to take a nice deep breath with me. In. Hold it at the apex for a second. Feel that in your body. Movement. And then exhale everything that you can, even with a sigh. Oh. Right? Now, with anatomy and physiology, what did we just do? We helped the body to reconnect with the nervous system, to send the message to the nervous system, right here, right now, I am safe. Right here, right now, I am safe. Right here, right now, I am safe. Right here, right now, beloveds, I am safe. And I got you. I got you. I'm going to reference. Some of us enjoy scripture, some of us don't. It doesn't matter. In either way, there's 1 Corinthians 3:16 says, do you not know that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God, beloved, dwells within you. And you know, because you breathe and you don't think it into being, and your heart beats and you don't think it into being, and your organs work together and you don't have to tell them day in, day out, 24/7, do this, digest, pump the blood, bring it here, bring it there. It is done for you with the spark of life. Thank you for allowing me to share with you today.